So by now, most of you guys know me and a few creators were flown out to Ubisoft Massive to get a behind the scenes look at where the Division 2 is made and get our hands on the newest DLC coming to the Division 2, Battle for Brooklyn. Now, one thing I did want to mention before we do a deep dive into this gameplay is this gameplay was given to us by Massive. During the event, we weren't allowed to capture any of our gameplay. We did have 2 hours hands-on with the DLC, and I have a lot to talk about. Now, a few things I will mention and you'll hear throughout this is we played this all solo. Yes, there were multiple creators there, but we weren't teamed up with them. So that is something to keep in mind as I explain some of the things I got to try. And not only that, we didn't even play with our main characters. So everything we were trying out was trying out with builds that weren't even complete. So just something for you to keep in mind as I explain what I got to try and how I felt the gameplay felt. Now, another thing is we did get our hands on the new skill, but we'll dive into that in a little bit. Now, the first thing you notice when you get into the Battle for Brooklyn DLC is the weather change. It's the first time we've had a seasonal weather change in the Division 2, and we're set in autumn, and you can definitely feel the fall vibes with the changing color of the trees, the plants, the environment around you. It honestly really feels like a new game. It's something I wish we would have had in the Division 2 for the longest after playing a game like Assassin's Creed Shadows where there is seasonal weather and seasonal changes. It just really makes a big difference. Makes a live service game actually feel alive. And that's one of the features I would love to see implemented in the next installment of the Division franchise in the Division 3. Now, I will say that I felt that the map was a little bit smaller than I expected, but they definitely jam-packed as much stuff as they could in here. They gave us a total of 9 missions. There's 3 main missions, 4 world missions, and 2 story missions. Now, you can replay main missions and world missions, but you can't replay story missions. Now, the difference between world missions and main missions is world missions are smaller. The devs mentioned that world missions are bigger than side missions in the Division 2, but smaller than main missions, so somewhere in between. Now, the 2 factions we'll be fighting in Battle for Brooklyn are the Rikers and then the Cleaners, but the Cleaners are armed with deadlier weapons than ever. We know them for burning everybody, but now they have something called the Purple Flame that not only burns you, but also causes corrosion damage. And if you look closely at the armor bar, you can see the purple line, which is the corrosion damage that was taken, adding another element you have to worry about when you're on the battlefield. Now, alongside those 9 missions, there's 4 control points, 12 living world activities, 10 bounty locations, 16 world bosses, 30 plus collectibles, and 8 new hunter riddles, which will have 8 new hunter masks tied to them. And here's an exclusive look at 2 of the masks. I'm honestly already really liking how that Spartan looking hunter mask looks right there. Now, for the first time ever, we're now going to have a level 40 boost that will allow you to boost straight to level 40. No longer do you have to do any of the grinding from level 1 to level 30 or level 30 to level 40 if you had that level 30 boost. With Warlords of New York, every single player, new, returning, or veteran, will have a level 40 boost. So if you make a new character, you can boost right to level 40 and get right into the action, which I think it's a really smart move for agents who want to invite their friends to play the Division 2, because that means they can dive right into the game right away, right? You no longer have to wait for your friends to catch up to you or help boost them to level 30 or level 40. They can dive right into Battle for Brooklyn with you on day 1. And with this story being isolated from the seasonal narrative, even if you've taken a break from the Division 2 or you're new to the Division 2, you don't have to worry about what's been going on with the seasonal manhunts. Currently, we're on Agent Kelso, and then obviously there's probably going to be a manhunt after that. You can dive into Battle for Brooklyn mind-free and just learn the story of Battle for Brooklyn, as it's a story set in the Division world. Now in Brooklyn, there will be 2 safe houses, 1 in Dumbo and 1 in Heights, and there will be a full settlement in Brooklyn. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you're in Warlords of New York, you cannot cross over on the bridge. You do have to fast travel over. I know a lot of people ask that question. Can you use the bridge to go from Warlords of New York to Battle for Brooklyn DLC, and no, you cannot. Now, one thing I will tell you from my limited time of playing Battle for Brooklyn, we only had 2 hours. There are a ton of tunnels for you to explore, different doors for you to open. There's just so much to do. The levels of Battle for Brooklyn actually impressed me, and I caught myself getting lost, going down into tunnels, exploring, and realizing I only had 2 hours and I needed to get back on and play the missions that they told us to play. Now, many of you guys probably are asking, well, how long is it? The devs have confirmed that it could take 6 to 10 hours to complete it if you want to complete everything in the Division 2 Battle for Brooklyn DLC. Now, I will say that's probably not including discovering how the hunters unlock and how you can get the hunter mask. That 100% will probably take a couple days depending on how good the community is at solving these. But again, the Brooklyn DLC itself, 6 to 10 hours probably to collect all the collectibles and complete all the missions and explore everything Battle for Brooklyn has. Now, there's a new exotic mask that is tied to the Battle for Brooklyn DLC. It is called the Catalyst. Dealing and receiving status effect damage will give you temporary damage buffs. And not only that, it allows you to ADS while on fire. One cool thing about this mask is it's the first time we've seen reactive camo. And the way this works is as you're moving, you'll start to see it flare up like it's going to burst in flames. And as you stand still, it cools down. We also got our hands on the new smart cover. There's an offensive variant and a defensive variant. The offensive variant is called Precision. It gives you weapon handling, damages targets out of cover, and it auto reloads while swapping weapons. Now, there is a defensive variant called Fortified. Now, this gives you bonus armor, explosive resistance, pulse resistance, and stagger immunity. Now, the one thing you have to remember about smart cover, you need to be in cover for these to work. Unlike the Division 1 where it had a lingering effect where you could go into cover, get out of cover, and still have the buff. That does not work in the Division 2. To have the buff, you need to be in cover at all times. Now, many may ask, is that the only gear coming to the Division 2, one exotic mask? But no, we do have Year 7 Season 1 launching on the same day as Battle for Brooklyn on May 27th. And that's going to be bringing 3 exotics, a new gear set, new brand set, new talents, new named weapons, and new named gear. So be on the lookout for that on the same day as Battle for Brooklyn. Now, many of you guys might already know, but I'm going to answer this question because I know I'm going to get it. What is the cost of Battle for Brooklyn DLC? Well, it's going to cost you $15. Now, if you are a new player and you end up purchasing the Ultimate Edition when they launch that bundle, well, that will automatically include Battle for Brooklyn DLC. Now, as of yesterday, you could only wish list the Battle for Brooklyn DLC on the Ubisoft store. So I'm assuming sooner than later, we should have the ability to purchase the DLC Battle for Brooklyn. I would tell you that I think for $15, what we're getting is a fair price, but I want to know in the comments, what are your thoughts? And let me know, do you guys plan on picking up the newest DLC from the Division 2 Battle for Brooklyn? All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Nothing But Skills is out.